ahead, you sign it. Alright, number 1 on this study guide. That is the Subway shop, your house problem. So you graph it. You got the Subway shops at 2, 3. You got your house at -6, -4. And you connect them. And then after you connect them, you make that leg, not that leg, you make that diagonal the hypotenuse of a right triangle. So if you go up and over, there's your right triangle. So this vertical leg goes from -4 to 3, so it's 7 units long. The horizontal leg goes from -6 to 2, so it's 8 units long. This is your side C. So 7 squared plus 8 squared equals C squared. I'm going to let you finish it from there. You can all do that. Agreed? We've done that a bunch of times, and now we're behind schedule because I was telling stories. Okay. Number 2, it's the conveyor belt problem. You got this conveyor belt that goes from the first floor to the second floor. So you draw a right triangle, and this would be your second floor. This would be your first floor. Makes a 60-degree angle with the ground. Second floor is 30 feet higher. This is a special right triangle. It's a 30, 60, 90 special right triangle. So this is your long leg, the 30. The long leg divided by the square root of 3 equals your short leg. 2 times your short leg gives you the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse, or the length of this conveyor belt, is going to be equal to 2 times 30 divided by the square root of 3. And when you do that in your calculator and you round it to the nearest whole number, it equals 35 feet. There's the first part of the question. Second part of the question says if the conveyor belt moves at 75 feet per 1 minute, how long will it take a package to go up the belt? So you write a proportion. 75 feet in 1 minute equals 35 feet in X minutes. And when you crisscross multiply, your 75x equals 35, and you divide by 75. Your x equals 35 divided by 75. 0.46. 0.46 to the nearest tenth is 0.5. I think that'll be the third quiz in a row that question's on. Now on 3, 4, 5, and 6, earlier in the day, or some of the other classes, I've told them to solve the triangle. You're not going to have to solve the triangle tomorrow. All you're going to have to do is solve for x. So those are trig ratio problems. And on number 3, here's your x, your 90. This leg is 6, and the angle given is 40. In relation to this angle, you're dealing with opposite and adjacent. Tangent equals opposite over adjacent. So tan 40 equals the opposite side over the adjacent side. When you crisscross multiply, tan 40 times x equals 6, and you divide both sides by tan 40. So x equals 6 divided by tan 40. 7.15, so 7.2. Number 4. In relation to the angle, you've got opposite, you're looking for adjacent. It's tangent again. Tan of 55 equals opposite over adjacent. Put your tan 55 over 1. And crisscross multiply. Tan 55 equals 8.9. So you divide both sides by tan 55. Okay, I forgot this. Tan 55 times x is tan 55. You still got your times x. So when you divide by the tan 55, your x is left over here. So in your calculator, take 8.9 and divide it by tan 55. 6.2. Number 5. X is your hypotenuse, your angle is 34 degrees, and your leg is 9. In this case, you're dealing with adjacent and hypotenuse. Cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosine 34 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Put your cosine 34 over 1. Crisscross multiply. Cosine 34 times x equals 9. Divide by cosine 34. And x will equal 10.9. If you look at number 6 is set up just like 5, except the x will be in the numerator, won't it? On number 6, the x is the adjacent and 12 is the hypotenuse. So I'm going to let you do that one on your own. Number 7. Viola drives 150 meters up a hill that makes an angle of 9 degrees with the horizontal. So look, here's the hill she's driving up. You're going to take this right triangle and pretend it's a hill. She's going 150 meters up the hill. Makes a 9 degree with the horizontal. Here's your 9 degrees with the horizontal. To the nearest tenth of a meter, what is the horizontal distance she has covered? Horizontal distance right here. That's what you're looking for. I'll have to explain that when I'm done with this video. This is adjacent and hypotenuse. Adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. Cosine of 9 equals the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. So when you crisscross multiply, your x times 1 is x. And then cosine 9 times 150. It's 148.2. 148.2. Problems like number 8 were on your quiz last week, where you have to find an angle. You got a 20, an 11, and you're looking for this. You got to highlight this, put a little note, put something, put a -1 in parentheses by number 8 or something like that, because you're dealing with opposite and adjacent, and that's TOA. But when you're trying to find an angle measure, you need to raise it to the -1 power. Remember that? The measure of angle 1 is equal to tan -1 of opposite, which is 20, over adjacent, which is 11. So that's your second tan. 20 divided by 11. 61.2 degrees. For number 9, you're going to have to describe 3 of those angles. These angles, horizontal and a line going down. Horizontal and a line going down. That's depression. That's angle of depression. Talked about that yesterday. A horizontal and a line going up. Horizontal, line going up. That's angle of elevation. Number 10. Okay, so you've got this dotted horizontal and then a right triangle, a 40-degree angle of depression, 19 yards and x. Said yesterday that this hypotenuse also serves as a transversal, which means that this angle of elevation is also 40 degrees, which turns this into an opposite over adjacent problem. Tan 40 equals x over 19. Crisscross multiply, x times 1 is x. Tan 40 times 19. 15.9. Number 11. another angle of depression. And a right triangle. Your angle of depression is 10 degrees. X is the hypotenuse. One leg is 1349 feet. To the nearest tenth of a mile, how many miles from the runway is the airplane? This is the plane up here. And this is where it's got to land. So if your angle of depression is 10, your angle of elevation is also 10. It's opposite over hypotenuse. Sine of 10 equals opposite 1349 over hypotenuse. Crisscross multiply. Sine 10 times x equals 1349, and you divide by sine 10. Sine 10s cancel. So your x equals 1349 divided by sine 10. Okay, pay attention. You got 7768.58. That is feet, because their height over here, this leg was in feet. The question asks how many miles. Don't forget to do this. Divide this by 5,280. That's how many feet are in a mile. So when you're using your calculator, the 7768 is still in there. You push divided and you push 5280 equals 1.47. 1.47. They wanted it to the nearest tenth of a mile. 1.5 miles. I would asterisk this right here. The dividing by 5280. People forget it all the time. That's converting your feet to miles.